Welcome back everyone, we're here again with another Germangirlinlondon video. The video today is about words, English words, that are used in Germany but not in the way that they're used in English-speaking countries. No idea what I'm going to call this video without making it mega long, but obviously it's live now, so I called it whatever I called it. Actually, there's quite a few words that the German language just kind of stole or adopted from English, but they're kind of using sometimes the wrong words and sometimes they just kind of made it their own or whatever. So here are a few examples of that language theft. Word number one is going to be quite famous, I think. I think most people know that in Germany, a mobile phone is called handy. Now, handy is an English word which is actually an adjective, so not a noun, and it just means like practical, and it's just like, yeah, handy. This is very handy. I mean, a phone is a handy thing to have, but I don't know why it's called handy in German. It is really weird. I hear a lot of people think it's really camp to I don't know, call it a handy. I mean, it does sound a bit weird. So I obviously grew up with calling phones handies, but nowadays I wouldn't call it that anymore. It just sounds really odd, and again, I have no explanation as to why this happened, and it's very confusing if you're English speaking natively and you come to Germany and everyone's like, mein handy, which loads of people always say to me when they find out I'm German. They will be like, ha, you're German, haha, mein Handy is kaputt, ha ha ha, is what they're saying with their funny accent, and I'm just like, why? Anyway, word number two is wellness. Now in Germany, wellness is what we say for spa. So if you go to like, don't know, a swimming place and they have a spa area, that'll be called the Wellnessbereich, and yeah, we just call that wellness. Wellness, not wellness, but wellness, because that is our accent in German. And no one would call it that in any English-speaking country, I don't think. They even go as far as to sell like Wellnesswasser, like wellness water. So like if water has a bit of flavor or something, it's called Wellnesswasser, and it's just like to suggest wellness, I guess. It's just meant to be like more luxurious and yeah, more like a spa, I guess. Another one that I have actually heard people say in England before, but I don't think it's very common, is to call the bartender a barkeeper. In German, we just call them barkeepers, even though they're bartenders, aren't they? That is, I don't know where that comes from either, but I guess it's just like a mistranslation that you do that, but I never really hear people say barkeeper here. I always hear bartender or just bar staff, bar person, service staff, person behind the bar. No one ever even really says bartender or barkeeper, but I think if they say it, it's bartender. Word number four is a little bit funny, I think, and it's beamer. A beamer in German is a projector, so they just call it beamer because I guess, I don't even know why it's called a beamer, but I guess we would say that you beam the picture on the wall, and that makes no sense. It's a projector because it projects something on the wall, isn't it? But yeah, in German it's the beamer. So when I was in school, my teacher would be like, can you get the beamer down because we want to watch a film, and nothing actually beams anything. I guess maybe they call it because there's a lightning beam. That could be the explanation. That's just a really weird translation, maybe, that they just kind of got that wrong. It's my best guess, really. Number five, actually two words. It's like a thing Germans do that no one ever uses anywhere else. If there is like big sport events, mostly like the World Cup for football or like the European League or whatever it's called, when they display that in public, this activity is called public viewing. So yeah, a common thing to say would be like, hey, do you want to come to public viewing tonight? Do we want to do public viewing later? And that's just what they call going somewhere like in town and watching the game on a big beamer. You know, like no one would ever say that, I don't think, in England. They would just go like, there's like a public display maybe, or like there's just we can watch the game on a bigger screen somewhere, maybe like a screening, but no one would really say public viewing. It just sounds a bit scary, really, but that's a very common thing that you will find in Germany, how people use the words public viewing. And last but not least, in German, instead of bullying, they use the word mobbing. I guess that kind of makes sense because they're taking the word to mob, like a mob forming, mobbing, like loads of people are like against you and you feel like mobbed, maybe? I don't know, I'm just making this up again. But that's what they use, that's how it's called. I guess that was just kind of a new thing that didn't have a name for a long time, and then they just were like, oh, there's actually probably, oh, let's just take an English word for it and make it sound English, so it's called mobbing. And they do that a lot. They also use stalking in German, but at least they use that the right way. So there is no actual German word for stalking, so they just stole it, and now you can say stalking in German everyday language and people will actually know what you mean. Mobbing, again, it's weird. And yeah, those are 6 words that German has taken from English correctly or less correctly and made it their own little terms. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up maybe if you want to. Maybe subscribe. I have loads of videos like this. There's a playlist, it'll be linked below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope to see you again soon. Bye!